Hello Bannermen! Winter is here, 2024 just started, and it's time for our seasonal updates. Joining us today here from the studio, we have designer Fábio Cury, and joining us from beyond the wall, we have designer Shinall.
Hello everyone, good to see you again.
So Cury, the 2024 updates are here. What can you guys tell us about the process you did this year?
Well, for this season, we mainly focused on keeping the game balanced and healthy, as always, and trying to bump up underlying underperforming units.
Yes, with this update, our focus was specifically combat units and NCUs, with a secondary focus on some tactics cards. And while we did touch on some attachments, we're mainly leaving that area for the mid-season update.
And since the new organized play season is starting, it's also a good moment to announce the changes in the tournament rules and scenarios.
But you'll have to stick around until the end of the video to hear more about that, because now it's time to go over a few changes we think represent the trends of each faction, starting with the Starks.
So, what's new with the Protectors of the North?
Well, Starks have had a few numbers alterations, and a handful of units were reworked to focus on having them synergize better with the Stark roster.
Yes, in general with Starks, several of their combat units did see full reworks to better bring in synergies with the overarching Stark themes of aggression and gaining bonuses if they're at low ranks. House Karstark Loyalists are a good example of this.
So let's talk about the Lannisters next.
We believe that the Lannisters are pretty well in their current state, so they're one of the factions that received the fewest amount of changes.
I would say the most notable change combat unit-wise would be the Kingsguard. We've upped their survivability a bit via adding Order Resilience, and the logic is that they're a centerpiece unit that when you include in your army, you want them to be in the forefront of things, and here we're just giving them the tools to help them stick around.
We also altered some select NCUs such as Tommen and Qyburn. In the case of Qyburn and NCUs with similar effects, those that rely heavily on your opponent's actions and choices, we've taken a look to make them a bit easier to utilize in many cases.
Let's check out the Defenders of the Wall, the Night's Watch.
So in Season 4, we've actually reworked the entirety of the 7 base Night's Watch Tactics deck cards. Our aim here was to maintain the bolstering effects that they currently have, but impart some more interesting tactical decisions for the Night's Watch player, as well as giving some more direct methods of counterplay for their opponents.
A few of their other tactics cards and NCUs were also modified directly as a result of their rework in the entire mechanical interactions of the base deck. But also some less seen, less taken NCUs got a good look at.
Next up, Free Folk.
So Free Folk, as usual, don't conform to the norm, and well, we can't really say that they suffered many glaring changes. It was mostly quality of life, right? Such as the skin changers dropping from 2 points to 1 point.
Yeah, here scattered across the combat units, you'll see Spearwives, Frozen Shore, Bear Riders, Borax Boar. Just some examples that they received some minor numerical tweaks, but nothing in the way of like any major reworks or alterations.
So now let's talk about the Baratheons. What's new for them?
So almost on the opposite of the spectrum from the Free Folk, we had our focus this time on the Stannis loyalty, with many of his units having their abilities reworked to just kind of make them a more smoother play experience for all those who are fans of the one true king.
We also gave some minor boosts to some of the Baratheon generic tactics cards, but it was nothing sweeping, just mostly minor boosts here and there.
So now let's talk about the Targaryens, shall we?
The Targaryens, they received some changes to their tactics deck, mostly to make their triggers of the cards easier to utilize.
And additionally, we revised some of the Targaryen NCUs that were typically not seeing as much play as we wanted. As we previously mentioned, one of the trends for this update was just kind of the quality of life improvements and making things just a bit smoother to play. And that's really evident in the alterations to the Targaryen NCUs.
Next up, Greyjoys.
Continuing off of the major updates Greyjoys received last season, most things here are just small tweaks.
Yeah, most of the changes that you're going to see here are, again, I keep using the word quality of life over and over again, but that's really what we're looking at here. An example would be like Trappers, who saw their Trappers tools ability move from engaged to short range.
Yeah, while there were very few significant changes to anything in the Greyjoy roster, you'll see a good diversity of little boosts and improvements throughout the faction. This ranges from tactics cards such as Finger Dance to combat units like the Harlaw Reapers, and even NCUs like Asha the Would-Be Queen.
Martells.
As one of the last releases, not a lot of changes here, and most elements of the army are meeting our expectations, as not to say we haven't taken a look at some key pieces here though as well.
Doran and Oberyn are two of the best examples. Doran received a points reduction, while Oberyn had a few of his tactics cards modified.
Now for the most likable guys around, the Boltons.
Well, you could say that they weren't likable before, and that's exactly the only change we made to them. Well, the Boltons before could not take neutrals, and now they are more likable, and they can take neutrals into their faction.
Yeah, hashtag Boltons did nothing wrong. But we were probably overly conservative with that limitation initially. And, while we are going to, continue to evaluate them in the future, right now that one change will open up so much for the faction that we're going to do that one and then see where they go from here.
And finally, neutrals.
Yeah, so again, some small numbers changes scattered throughout the units. Stormcrow dervishes and mercenaries received some slight numerical boosts, while things like archers gain loyalty to coin.
On the NCU front, the most notable change would be to Walder Frey, which again ties into our ease of play comments from earlier. As a result, he got a full rework this season.
Okay, that covers all factions. The new cards are now available at the War Council app and also our website for those who prefer to print their cards.
Also, a complete changelog listing all the changes will be available, linked in the description.
Which brings us to the last topic we'll be covering today, new tournament rules.
This season, we've introduced some new optional format rules that tournament organizers can adopt based on some of the ideas that have been implemented by some communities from across the globe.
Yep, and in addition, we've included a new game mode. And frankly, we could have a full discussion over just these add-ons and what they mean for the game, but we're going to leave everyone to read up on that, along with the full release notes covering not only that topic, but everything else that we had previously discussed here today as well.
So that's a wrap. Thank you so much for watching our update video.
We hope you make the most of this update and have a fun this season.
Yep, take care everyone, and bye.